Miikka Muurinen caught everyone's attention with his awesome FIBA play with Finland over the summer, and now his decision to skip his senior year of high school to join Partizan overseas. We'll tell you if the hype is worth it or not next on Locked On NBA Draft Show with No Ceilings.
You are Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings, your daily podcast on the future stars of the NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On NBA Draft Show with No Ceilings. My name is Tyler Metcalf. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Joining me, as always, is my co-host and fellow draft analyst for the last decade or so, Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how we doing?
Metcalf, another glorious day closer to basketball season being back. I'm doing great. I'm just counting down the days. You know, I'm tired of watching the NFL. My Vikings just stink. So let's get excited about hoop season returning, baby. How are you doing, sir?
I'm terrific. Obviously Fat Bear Week was last week. Always a good time. Every time I'm going to get the chance to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. But we also have some prospect games going on too, finally, with the NBL. So make sure to check out our episode on Thursday, which we'll be talking about the early reactions to Dash Daniels, Ben Henshaw, Kareem Lopez. But today we're taking a little more of a pivot and talking about a guy we were expecting to be preparing for his senior year of high school at AZ Compass, and Miikka Muurinen, who had an awesome showing with Finland during FIBA over the summer. And now he's turning some heads with his decision to not return to AZ Compass for his senior year and instead go overseas to Partizan. So we're going to look at some areas where he needs to improve, where he already shines, and what's exciting about his game. But first, we just kind of have to figure out who is he, because we typically we don't talk about high school guys this early, especially guys who we're expecting to go back for another year or two. And that's what we were expecting with Muurinen, but he does turn 19 on March 4th this year. So he's 18 right now, going to be 19, which theoretically would make him eligible for the 2026 NBA draft. But given the fact that he's been stateside for, I think it's over 3 years, he's not considered a foreign prospect. So the high school ramifications still have to come into play. And my understanding is that he would have to graduate by Monday to be eligible. Now, Muurinen and his camp have come out saying that they're still planning on the 2027 draft. We've heard that before from prospects in the past. So we'll see where are you at with Muurinen.
Yeah, it's this is where the draft scene always gets crazy. We always get kind of a little bit of a curveball. Sometimes it's middle of the year, or sometimes it's the beginning of the year where it's like, okay, wait, this name could be popping up in the picture too. Miikka was a name that I think a lot of scouts and evaluators going back to the beginning of summer thought he could be a reclassification guy that would join this class. Then he had this impressive FIBA play for Finland, which it was more just like some highlights. He was making some buzz. And you see the tools. He's listed around 6'9", 6'10", 200 pounds. So on at first glance, you're like, oh, this athletic, lengthy forward. I think he was 15th in ESPN's 2026 class before this recent announcement to go join Partizan. So the curveball now is, like Metcalf said, I don't know is it Monday for like preseason, or is it like the start of the NBA regular season? He's got to officially graduate. This is the fun part where you try to be detective.
Exactly.
And everyone around the NBA world is playing detective right now. You talk to scouts and everything, they're like, this is what we're thinking. We're assuming this, but is it regular season, Metcalf, or is it like Monday?
So I think the original assumption was regular season, but everyone I've talked to is saying Monday. It's the start of preseason, which is, the official NBA season. So everyone I've talked to in the league is saying Monday, which makes a lot of sense why his team came out with a statement of, oh no, he's still planning on the 2027 draft and wants to go to college, maybe go to college for next year and enjoy the college experience still. But it's like it felt strategic when it came out.
It was very telling that there was buzz about it, and in less than 24 hours later,
Yeah.
he was announcing that he was leaving. And then, that day it got announced. It got announced, I think, really early in the morning. I literally reached out to a team scout, and I was like Miikka, question. I was like, what are you assuming? And I just got a, hey, call me. So all of a sudden I called, like, what's going on? And he's like, we are under the assumption he's going to get approved to reclassify. Like
Right.
this, their goal, their focus. A lot of times with this stuff, it's like some shady behind the scenes stuff where it's like, oh, it gets announced 3 months later that he was already approved and everything. I still am being cautious to be like, I'll wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
It would be very exciting for this class, but the smart move seems like it might be like, hey, go to Partizan, train for a year, get yourself really ready for 27, and then maybe you do come back over the college route. Who knows? But it's a fun wild card because if he somehow does, if we do get the green light for him to get approved for this class, it's a nice little curveball in this class that is already drawing some buzz.
And it feels really similar to Straight and Sharp and his year at Kentucky, where it's like, oh no, I'm next year. I'm coming back to Kentucky. Don't worry about it. And I'm approved. See ya. Because the sooner you can get into the league, typically the better. Because it just gives you extra runway for contracts. It gives you it minimizes the time and windows and opportunities that scouts and teams and evaluators can nitpick and find issues with your game. So I'd be really surprised if he does get approved and if they do deem him eligible. I'd be shocked.
I'd be shocked.
School.
Really shocked. It's also it's he's going to a bit of a powerhouse team. Like Partizan is a very well respected team in the EuroLeague. They're not just getting this recruit to be like, you're going to save everything. No, he's going to have to earn minutes. It's going to be the same story we've seen with plenty of international prospects with, Real Madrid, FC Barcelona. He's going to have to earn minutes. And coaches over there do not just play young guys because of US hype. They know you have to prove yourself. So it's a real awesome story. If he goes the right route, it could be very beneficial for his development. But I think this is one that I'm being cautious with jumping to be like, hey, he's now 10th on my big board for this year.
Yes. All right. So we gave a little overview of who he is, but let's dive into his game and actually go over some of the strengths and reasons why Partizan fans and NBA draft fans and potentially college fans, if he does take that route, should be excited after a quick break. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get the boost you need. When I'm having those long days of grind and film, 5-hour energy is perfect because it kicks in fast and it doesn't have any of the crashes. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Let's talk about his game on the court. I want to start with the positives, the stuff that gets us excited. When initially, if you were trying to sell someone on Miikka, what would be your elevator pitch for him?
I think it would be, a 6'10" floor spacer, legit floor spacer with a good looking shot from outside that, if you also give him a runway, he could finish above the rim. He's got some good athleticism. He plays with a little bit of fire for I would say for like a young teenager. He plays with a little bit of swagger, a little bit, of nastiness. So active big, or I put bigs as 4 and 5s because we're getting away from power forwards and centers. So I say a big is a 4 and a 5. He's an active big around the offensive glass. There's a lot of potential, I think, for him to be a very good pick and pop weapon. He played with Finland for FIBA. I bet plenty of people are going to be like, well, could he be Lauri Markkanen? Markkanen was very skilled. So I think he's got a long way to get to that point, but that's the hope, I think. Metcalf, what about you? Being positive. Being positive.
I know. We're all in on the good stuff now.
Yeah.
We'll get negative and be skeptics in a few minutes, but he was just a junior in high school, so a lot of time to grow and improve. The play finishing versatility with him, I think, is really intriguing. With, like you said, the pick and pop stuff, spotting up, trail threes, transition threes, and then he's got some sneaky bounce, especially in the open court, where he's a little bit of a risk taker on defense, and that some of the defensive playmaking stuff with him is really fun with chase down blocks and big time swats. When he's rotating over to block a shot, he's looking to send it into the upper deck. He's not having any of these little touch blocks that kickstart transition. He's sending a statement, and he's also not afraid of jumping passing lanes. And when he gets his limbs on some of those deflections and gets a free lane to the rim, and there are some games where he's taken off for like huge tomahawk dunks from like just inside the free throw line at a full sprint. It's like, oh my God, that's fun. Where did that pop come from? Because, it's not my initial assumption with him when he's in the open court, because I don't think his foot speed's anything spectacular, but then you see him elevate and explode off the floor. It's like, holy cow, where did that come from?
Yeah, it's if you watch his highlights only, you'll be like, this kid looks like a top 5 pick. But it's just because it's a lot of emphatic slams, it's impressive athleticism, transition. He would be a very fun threat. Like, he would be a very fun asset if you're getting him out running in the open floor. So there's some good starting skills. Would you agree with that? Like, there's some good stuff that you're like, we could lean on this and we can lean on this. Like, if you give me a big around 6'10" that you're like, hey, he can shoot and he can get up and throw down some posters, you're like, that's a good start. We can work with that. So I think that's the sell, is you have 2 very fun areas that you can start to build a foundation with. Now it's just, what do you build next? What room are you trying to build next if you're building a house? So I think that's the question for him. And I think that's why I'm excited, even if he's not in this year's class, which we're waiting and see. Everybody around the league's waiting to see, like, what's the official ruling. He's still going to be doing something that's really positive for his development at, Partizan. Even if he doesn't play major heavy minutes, and, I'm just predicting, it's still awesome for his potential as a draft prospect and a big time name.
Yeah, and I view him almost exclusively as a 4, at least for now. But with that, I mean, he has like an idea, like you said, and almost a nearly ideal starting foundation of what you want a modern 4, with his ability to space the floor, to rim run, to rebound, and then be an explosive finisher as well. So if a coaching staff is able to really get in there and mold his game and really grow some crucial aspects of it, there's a lot of incredibly fun outcomes for how his game could continue to grow. It's just gotta get there, and it'll be really curious, because it's not like he's a young high school senior. Like, he's gonna be 19 in March. So if he does go into the 2027 draft, that means he's gonna be a 20-year-old freshman, and we know how much the draft community loves 20-year-old freshmen. They're their favorite things, but there's still a lot of work to be done, despite having a really intriguing base level foundation to build upon, which a lot of guys his size don't have that combination of floor spacing, explosiveness, and mobility.
I think that's always a skill set. Now me and you're just talking about it. I think it's always one of those archetypes that it's like the forward with good size that can space the floor and offer, a couple of NBA like skills. I think it's one we always don't realize is there's a much bigger like desire for that with NBA teams. Like the outcomes, like you were saying, can get really exciting. You could either talk yourself into like, hey, as the tools fall into place, the upside is tremendous. Or if he could just be a consistent 3-point shooter and play solid basketball as a connecting piece, those guys play a long time. Teams are always looking for those as a wrinkle in their offense. So he has a good start with his skill set right now. It's just what else can we build on?
Should we dive into the improvement areas?
Oh,
Is
of
this
course.
going to be all right?
This
Well,
is where people love us.
before we do that, let's take one last break. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Now we gotta get a little negative, or as I would say, realistic. And you mentioned it earlier.
Vent to me.
Mika's highlight tape rocks. Like you see the open court dunks, you see the weak side blocks, you see the pick and pop threes. And it's like, God, this is awesome. And then you watch everything else that happens in the full game, and I think he is so far away. I hate this decision for him.
Well, do you really hate it, or this is my problem? I understand why someone would hate it. I understand like what you're hinting at. I also get to a point, would I rather him be in that culture, in that setting, or another year of high school? Would you rather him be challenged and
I would rather him
try
play.
to improve?
I would rather him play, and I'm not sure he's going to play for Partizan because this is the same coach who had Bogdan, had Biberovic here at 7, Vucevic, and he didn't trust any of them to play at all. And then you look at some of the forwards on this Partizan team, and you got guys like Sterling Brown, Alexei Pokusevsky, Isak Bonga, Jabari Parker. Is he getting minutes over any of those guys?
No. But is he going to get better? Or is he? Would you rather him go? I don't like.
At this stage, I like guys to play because you have to figure out the speed of the game, and being buried on a bench overseas is really worrying for me. So, just to run through some of his numbers real quick, in his 12 games at AZ Compass on Synergy, 7.1 points on 42.7, 25.7, 54.5 shooting splits, a 22.9 turnover rate, 6 assists to 25 turnovers, only had 8 blocks, 49th percentile in overall points per possession, 55th spotting up, 53rd in transition, 29th as a roller, 33rd percentile on all jumpers, 31st off the catch, only 6 pull-up attempts where he went 1 for 6. He was in the 84th percentile at the rim, but he was in the 90th percentile on 15 dunks. Awesome. Just the 12th percentile on layups, shooting 38.5 on just 13 attempts. So small sample size, a lot of concerning numbers in there. And everything about his game to me right now just screams theoretical.
Okay, I'm going to do something I rarely ever do. I'm going to be gloves off, completely honest. And I'm usually just trying to be polite about everything. I agree with you. I think this is a very, very bold decision. I think anytime a prospect decides to leave the States, go international, you're underselling how hard and how good basketball is overseas. I understand also, like, if he's developing and he's like, what am I going to do? Just have free reign at high school and be bigger and stronger than everyone and just shoot a ton of threes. He doesn't need to do that. I agree. He needs to play, but he also needs to figure out, like, you can't just shoot threes and dunk. You need to figure out some other stuff with your game. Like, you're far away. He's probably not going to get a lot of playing time there. Maybe they trust the staff to develop it. This, because of what you're pointing out and because we're talking this out, I don't see why he would go there to train for a year to potentially go college or you know what I'm trying to say. It seems like this is like we are trying everything to move mountains to get ready for this class, to get, eligible. His assist rate is terrifying. Like, I don't care what you want to tell me about like what the numbers actually say, but I went even back to like EYBL, which was his best stats, and where he was buzzing and generating all this noise from like I think he dropped 21 in the Peach Jam final. He had he averaged 1.1 assists and 2.1 turnovers. It's gross.
Yeah.
He's a floor spacing green light shooter. Like,
yeah.
If he gets the ball on the perimeter, he wants to shoot it right away. And then after that, if you take that away, I think a lot of problems arise. So yes, he's young. He's super talented.
But he's not for his age group.
Exactly. So, but I'm saying, I was saying like he was a junior.
Yeah.
But he's an older junior, like you're saying. It seems like there's a long way to go. I wish he was like 17 and making this decision. I'd be like, okay, I could get it for a couple of years. You're going to go toughen up. But this one seems like I wrote down on my scouting notes, this seems like a little bit of fool's gold to me, which you get really excited by the highlights and you start watching and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We got a way to go.
Yeah. And the assist and ball security numbers are really troubling. I do think there are some occasional like really fun passing reads and vision that he has. There's just no accuracy on the passes. Gets in foul trouble a lot. And my biggest concern with him is the defense. He is lost all the time. Where anytime his man moves or relocates, it's like he shuts off and just does his own thing and loses him and doesn't know who to rotate to and doesn't communicate switches and misses rotations. Is really poor defensive fundamentals, like high in his stance, narrow stance, gets moved off his spot, fouls a ton. So like some of the highlight plays and jumping passing lanes and rotating for big time blocks, they're fun. They also are outweighed by like tenfold of him just being completely lost on the defensive end.
That's why we always say there's highlights and there's film. Film tells all. The highlights will fool you a lot. People joked it when Kai Jones was coming out. People would watch his highlight tape and be like, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. What are you guys talking about? And then it's like, well, watch the film. So, I think I had asked the scout, like, is this the idea of Jan Vesely, for a little bit of a shout out Wizards fans? And the scout was like, yes, that's a good one. I get the idea. I think Vesely was a little bit more advanced and ready than, where Miikka is. It's a tough one, Metcalf, because I agree with you that how you're going to play. It's not like, all due respect to the NBL, it's not like he's going there and he's going to be showcased on a silver platter to be like, this is the next young star, like how they have. He's going to a wagon of a team. This is a team in the Euro League that's going to try to compete with some of the top, like they compete to stay in the Euro League. So like these teams don't just like, oh, we're going to take a year to tank and develop. Like, no, you want to stay in the Euro League. So I don't know. There's just a lot of in-between game. I think the ball security for me personally is the biggest
really
question. Yeah, that's the biggest red flag for me.
It totally negates any potential on-ball stuff. Not that he's like this dynamic shot creator, but I think like the hope, like the 90th percentile outcome for him is like a player like Santi Aldama, where someone at that size who can dribble, pass, shoot. I buy the shot, even though the numbers at AZ Compass weren't overwhelming, but I think he's a legit solid shooter. But what else is there?
Right.
There, like he can't put the ball on the floor because just a simple poke away or help dig results in a turnover. He's not strong enough to battle in the post. He doesn't consistently rim run. And that's where it's like there's so many things that he has to figure out how to do on defense, how to do on offense, and experiment and try new stuff. And the best way to do that is to play and to do it in a like a minimal content or like an easier setting to do that, where the consequences, that's the word I was looking for, where the consequences aren't so high. Because if he gets 3 minutes with Partizan and misses 3 rotations and has 2 turnovers and 2 fouls, he's done for the day. Because that could be enough to lose some of the game, and the coach and the players aren't going to deal with that. So I don't think it's going to be a great spot for him to learn how to battle through a lot of these mistakes and experiment with trying new things and figuring out how to play. Hopefully, he can learn a lot of really awesome habits and tendencies and learn how to watch film and improve from an off-ball perspective, because there, like I read off earlier, there are a lot of former NBA pros who can hopefully teach him something. But again, they're not going into the season like, yeah, let me mentor this kid. Let me take all of the time out of my day to make sure he's good. It's like, no, I'm looking to get paid and win. So I just think this, like, theoretically, if he does get approved for the 26th draft, I'm a little more optimistic about the move. But if he doesn't, I man, I could see this getting really ugly really quick.
Yeah, could get ugly because also it's it's not the same thing as it's not the same narrative that basketball fans might have had 10 plus years ago of like, oh, he's going overseas. It's like, no, going overseas and basketball is just as good almost. Like, and those guys that are overseas, like some of the NBA guys that go over there, they're like, hey, they couldn't latch on in the NBA. They're making a career over there. They're becoming really big time players over there, like Jabari Parker, like guys like that, where they're going over there like, hey, I still got some game to me, but I can be a real asset at the EuroLeague level, the international competition. So that's no gimme for it. I respect him for going over there.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry for anyone listening if I'm wrong with this. I don't think Partizan has like a youth team. I would have loved if he went to a team that had like a youth that they could like, hey, we'll like almost like their G League, where it's like we can move him down and get him some run from time to time, but those are just all like getting eliminated now. So I'm with you, Mick. It's a tough one. I get the idea of like, hey, I'm gonna get better, but it's like, well, you're not gonna play probably early, and it's a tough equation of would you rather just be at home, be at your high school, and you're not getting taken out of the game because you're a big time recruit, or would you rather be trying to really get better and you gotta mature in a hurry? So I get it. It's gonna be a tough one.
There's a lot to be excited about, a lot that needs to improve. Hopefully, he has an awesome year, and this episode looks foolish, or at least this segment looks foolish in a couple months. Ruined for him. There's a lot that could go right, but we'll see. The Locked On NBA Top 100 is here, voted on by the NBA hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Our Top 100 was formed by experts that cover these teams and players every day. Find the full list on Locked On Sports today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you all for listening. I'm Tyler Metcalf. He is Tyler Rucker. Thank you for making Locked On NBA Draft with No Ceilings your first listen every day.